We are recording. Hello, this is my virtual child group project for group number 4. My name is Rebecca Moore, and I am joined by
Nocelio.
I'm a clerk.
Audrey. You're actually on mute.
Right. Aubrey Edjabovic.
Our children are Reggie, Randy, Lila, and Seth. All of our children were even-tempered children with secure parenting or secure attachment styles. To do the contrasting and comparing of our children, we are going to turn that over to Tyler.
Okay. All right. Comparing and contrasting Reggie and Steph. Some comparisons that I found was that in early childhood, they both played sports. They both have secure attachments to their mothers, and they both had improved critical thinking and motor skills as they got older. And the contrasting I had between
Go ahead, just keep going.
Okay. Reggie and Randy, the comparison between the two was they both were active and played sports at an early age. Both were ahead of the curve when it came to motor skills, and the difference was Randy struggled with self-esteem issues in middle childhood. Reggie and Lila, the two comparisons I have for them is they both had strong connection with their mothers, and they both have knowledge. They both use their knowledge to help others in the classroom. And the difference was Lila was rewarded and punished in the classroom, which Reggie didn't have. Okay, Seth and Randy. The comparisons between the two were they both had good temperaments, both hit early childhood milestones around the same time, both started being active in sports at early ages as well. And the difference was Randy did not like testing. Standardized testing in school where Seth did. Okay, then I'm going to talk about secure attachment, give you more information about that. So secure attachment is children with secure attachment tend to feel confident in exploring their environment because they know they have a secure base, usually their caregiver, to return to if needed. They are comfortable with both intimacy. And independence, and they seek out social support when faced with challenges. Securely attached children tend to have caregivers who are responsive, consistent, and emotionally available. Also, as they grow, they often develop positive self-esteem, good emotional regulation skills, and healthy relationships. Also, on the other hand, we'll talk about insecure attachment style. Anxious, preoccupied attachment children with this style may be overly clingy and seek constant reassurance from their caregivers. They often worry about being abandoned and may struggle with self-esteem. Dismissive, avoiding attachment children with this style may appear independent and self-sufficient, but they may suppress their attachment needs and avoid seeking comfort from caregivers. They may have difficulty with intimacy and struggle to trust others. Fearful, avoidant, or disorganized attachment children with this style may exhibit contradictory behaviors, both seeking and avoiding closeness with caregivers. They may have experienced inconsistent or frightening caregiving, leading to confusion about relationships and trust. Then talk about even-tempered children, which all children were. These children with an even temperament display consistent, predictable reactions. They are typically adaptable and can adjust well to changes in their environment. Even-tempered children are generally easier to soothe and manage as they are less likely to have extreme emotional reactions. A child with secure attachment and even temperament tends to have a strong foundation for healthy emotional and social development. They also feel secure in their relationships and can manage their emotions effectively. Contrasted with other attachment styles and temperaments, they may demonstrate more resilience, adaptability, and ease in forming and maintaining relationships. And there's also some other temperament styles. You got difficult temperament, and these are children with difficult temperaments may be more intense in their reactions. They may have strong emotional responses to stimuli and be more irritable and have difficulty adapting to change. Slow to warmer temperament are children that may initially be cautious and hesitant in new situations or with new people. They may take longer to adjust, but eventually warm up with time and familiarity.
So that brings us to our first article. I found this in Parenting Styles and Children's Well-Being, the mediating role of perceived parental stress. This was an article that talked about the different types of parenting styles, authoritative and authoritarian, and then also touched on some permissive behaviors and what the outcome of the child would be depending on which type of parenting style the parents used. The authoritative style, they show high acceptance and behavioral control, low psychological control, high responsiveness and warmth to their children. Authoritative parents are conceptualized as affectionate, encouraging, and controlling in a way that promotes child autonomy. Authoritative parents, they also direct the child in rational situations based in which both autonomy and conformity are important. They clearly set rules and use reasoning to enforce them for encouraging open communications, supporting children's independence, and also expressing love and affection. On the other hand, authoritarian parents usually combined high control with low levels of warmth, involvement, support, and emotional commitment to their children. They are usually rejecting, high demanding, strongly commanding, psychologically and domineeringly controlling. They often use punitive and forceful ways to control their children to get them to adhere to an absolute standard of behavior, leaving very little spaces to the child's decision making or rationales. Authoritarian parents also believe that the child should do what they say. As a consequence, child's behaviors and attitudes are guided and formed and based on certain standards of conduct. There are, continuing on with this parenting style and child's well-being, the article says that authoritarian or permissive style of parenting, which generally are men, makes children develop low self-esteem, become rebellion or develop resentments, have poor social skills. They might struggle with anxiety and stress. They have a lack of independence and difficulty coping with failure, and often they struggle with communication barriers. Our children had good temperaments and secure attachments, probably because their parents were more of an authoritative parenting style. This is mainly women, although some men can demonstrate authoritative parenting skills depending on the situation. For authoritative parents, children usually have higher self-esteem, they have healthy independence, they have good social skills, they are better academically, they have good emotional regulation, they are seen as more resilient, and they have good positive parenting child relationships. Aubrey is going to take it from here to discuss the connections.
So I did the 6 connections to development. I did at least one for each of our childs. So the first one, Lila has been in the pre-operational stage according to Piaget's theory of cognitive development. This is an important role in her learning process as she has gained knowledge on many new words, including geography and astounding. This has impacted her cognitive development because she's constantly gaining knowledge and becoming smarter. And it has also impacted her social and emotional development because she has been able to share and express these new words to others. So that's the first one. The next one, when Randy was just 18 months, he was very curious with markers and sorting them. A form of cognitive development formed into physical development as he developed his motor skills into drawing and coloring pictures to jumpstart his physical development. The third one, Lila is rewarded in the classroom at school for good behavior and punished for bad behavior, as talked about in Skinner's operant conditioning. This is helping to improve her social/emotional skills because she's learning to be socially appropriate and to treat others nicely. This is also impacting her cognitive development because she's gaining knowledge and information about the real world and learning how to express herself in a good way. So for the fourth connection, at the age of 5, it was clear Randy physically developed into a very adventurous and outgoing kid that loved being active. With that, he struggled to cognitively to develop in the classroom and had trouble sitting still. He wanted to be doing stuff that encompassed his personality. He was unable to sit still, but still kept his adventurous and outgoing side. The fifth one, Seth's fine motor skills are improving, and he can manipulate small objects and more complex tasks, which is impacting his cognitive development by helping him to develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. And then for the last one, Reggie is very egocentric and also very advanced mentally for his age, which impacted his social and emotional development by leading him to believe he was better than everyone else. And whenever he would get mad at one of his peers, he told them how he was better than them. And then that was all for the 6 connections. Next is going to be the theories.
So I'm Noah. I'm gonna discuss the theories of child development. So the first theory we have is a theory of mind, and that's displays the ability to recognize like the different beliefs, opinions, thoughts, and reasonings and desires. This is kind of displayed like when kids are just preschoolers, whether like they can have certain kids can have certain interests in like let's say drawing or playing with blocks or so just allowing to have like a ability to respect people's interests. The second one is physical activity. This is shown also very well in like between ages 3 and 5, so kind of early childhood. And I know for it's really important, just to get a foundation of healthy habits. And this is kind of also the time when, kids are starting with little league sports, like t-ball or soccer. So just being able to like get with, a team and, have make some new friends in that, it's very important. Next, you got motor skills. These are obviously developed over time, but can start right away in infancy and toddlerhood. As an example, Reggie, I believe he started walking around 6 months. So they all come in. My child Randy started walking around age 1. So they can kind of vary, just like potty training or any other thing. They come when they come. Um, and then we seg that way into potty training. Something that every kid must go through. I know my kid Randy, he didn't start. He wasn't potty trained until age 4. So timing is everything, and a reward system's best. To condition them to go to the bathroom. Um, and if they do that enough, then it'll become muscle memory. The next theory was Vygotsky's sociocultural theory. This one emphasizes the role of social interaction, more specifically interactions with people with higher intelligence. That can be like a teacher, a parent or a peer. And it doesn't really have to be like a teaching moment, like showing a kid what to do. It can just be as simple as just like having a conversation with a kid, or a kid having a conversation with like a teacher or a parent, or someone who is a little more developed. They can kind of pick up on certain things that they didn't pick up on before. And then we're continuing this into the cultural historical theory. Uh, Also gives kids a foundation that every kid will come from a different background. They may have a different race, religion, ethnicity, and culture. So just giving the kids allow the kids to realize that and respect everyone's upbringing. Next, we got the PYD, or Positive Youth Development Framework. This fosters kids' ability to develop their confidence, and character. This is seen around when a kid starts to enter late elementary school and early middle school. Because at that point they're starting to figure out their identity. So just being able to kind of develop those traits can really help a kid flourish as he goes through school. Next, we have self-determination theory, which is kind of similar to the PYD framework, but not entirely. This one, however, focused on three really specific components. Autonomy, which is kind of a like decision making, competence, which is pretty self-explanatory, and then readiness, kind of your self a connection. This also These three components are also very important for, a child finding their identity because, it can kind of give kids, because, you have a lot of influence as you get older and you're around a lot more people. So being able to develop like these components can help, a child, push through that. And with this stage in their life also comes puberty, which, many kids can be confused, scared, or anxious. My kid Randy, he was questioning a lot of things, and can leave a lot of kids, asking questions to their parents, like what's going on. Um, it's best to comfort them, and reassure them that, it's all normal and not to feel scared, and everyone goes through it differently, just like potty training, just like learning how to walk, just like you losing your teeth. It all happens differently. Last one is the multiple intelligence theory, and it's a theory basically that intelligence isn't a specific trait rather than a lot of things. That could be, mathematics, reading comprehension, music, art, or just, general common knowledge. So it's best to, acknowledge the child's strengths and praise them for that. A lot of times in schools, kids with certain intelligence traits may not be recognized. So being able to like recognize that's very important. And also not scold them in areas they're lacking, but instead help them, you know, get back on like a reading grade level or math level. And then we'll segue into the last article, which Rebecca will give us the rundown.
Thank you, Noah. The theories give us an important framework for determining how children might progress through early childhood development. But one thing is very clear, that parents have a very important role on the outcome of children and behaviors, and mainly parenting styles. The parenting styles and children's behavior article that I found out of the Family Relations publication published by the National Council on Family Relations. This is actually found in JSTOR. JSTOR is a really good place to find a lot of studies and research done. Dan Carter and David Welch wrote this one, and they stated that in this study, there was 178 subjects that responded to 6 vignettes, which briefly describe normal, egocentric, and annoying behaviors of preschool child by selecting a preferred choice from among 3 responses that had been designed to match Baumrinn's authoritative, permissive, or authoritarian parenting style categories. Parental responses appear to vary with the child's behavior as well as with the adult's sex, age, and experience in parenting. What Dan Carter and David Welch discovered was that parents view the behavior of their children from a variety of perspectives, depending on the situation that they are in, the people that are around them, and the degree of significance of whatever the behavior is. Responses to the 5 behaviors seem to indicate that although parents basically follow one style of parenting, in some situations, they are more likely to reveal a different parenting style than others. And what I mean by that is, if they are out in public, they might handle their children differently than what if they were just at their own home. If they are around their grandparents, they might handle them a different way than if they are around their friends. Factors that also determine how parents act towards children really do include age, where we see with younger children, younger than 3 years old, many times parents are very permissive. And it's not until those later ages that we see that more authoritative or authoritarian parenting style come into play. And that might be, because the children are maturing, developing cognitively and physically. So they do kind of increase their punishments or their expectations as children age. Also, sex does play a role. male children tend to get punished a little bit more than female children. And then also in that, it seems that the adult males are actually more permissive or authoritarian based on the situation, and that the females are usually more authoritative in almost all situations. The one and only of the 5 vignettes which produced a markedly different pattern of response was when the child does not want to follow rules playing a game. And in that situation, the men become very authoritarian. They really want the children to follow rules. It is suggested in this reading that that is because people learn how to socialize through being playing games and role playing. But the authors also wanted to emphasize that depending on which level of development you are in, early, middle, or late childhood, many children don't develop the skills to play games and understand that each participant has a stake. So a lot of times by punishing these children, they're doing a great disservice to the children, because a lot of times children just have not developed the skills to be actively involved in these types of games. Males and married subjects more frequently gave either authoritarian or permissive responses than females and single persons, who were more inclined to select authoritative responses. And once again, it's just very important to note that even following the frameworks laid out by theories, that parents really do have a great ability to impress on their children. And a lot of times, even when the children are doing everything they're supposed to be doing, depending on the parenting style, that could really affect a child's development socially, emotionally, and cognitively. And then these are the references for the articles that we sourced.